Most people believe that love is the easiest, most natural thing in the world. They believe it is a feeling that happens to them, like catching a cold or being struck by lightning. They spend their entire lives searching for the right person, convinced that once they find the one, love will flow effortlessly, and they will live happily ever after. They consume thousands of romantic comedies, pop songs, and fairy tales that reinforce this exact lie. But what if this entire paradigm is backwards? What if love is not a feeling that happens to you, but a skill that you must learn? What if the reason your relationships keep failing is not because you haven't found the right object, but because you haven't developed the right capacity? In 1956, a brilliant German-American psychoanalyst and social philosopher named Erich Fromm published a small, deceptively simple book called The Art of Loving. Fromm was not a romantic. He was a serious intellectual who had fled Nazi Germany and spent his life studying the intersection of psychology, society, and human freedom. He had written dense, academic works on Marx, on Freud, and on the psychology of freedom. But The Art of Loving was different. It was a profound, urgent warning to modern humanity. Fromm looked at the post-war world, a world obsessed with consumerism, efficiency, and the exchange of personalities. And he saw a society that had completely forgotten how to love. He argued that the vast majority of people do not actually know what love is. They confuse love with falling in love. They confuse love with being loved. They confuse love with the relief of loneliness. Today, we are going to dive deep into this philosophical masterpiece. We will dismantle the cultural myths of romance, uncover the 4 essential elements of true love, and learn why the ability to stand completely alone is the only path to genuine connection. We will discover why Fromm believed that a society of consumers is incapable of real love, and how to transform love from a passive feeling into an active, lifelong art. The very first and most radical premise of Fromm's philosophy is this: love is not a sentiment. It is an art. And like any art, whether it is music, painting, carpentry, or medicine, it requires knowledge, effort, discipline, and practice. When people want to learn to play the piano, they do not simply sit down and expect beautiful music to flow from their fingers. They practice scales. They study theory. They endure frustration. They submit to a master. But when it comes to love, the most difficult and complex art of all, people assume they need no training. They assume that because they have feelings, they know how to love. Fromm argues that this is the greatest delusion of the modern age. To understand why people fail at love, Fromm identifies 3 widespread errors in how we think about it. The first error is believing that the problem of love is the problem of being loved, rather than the problem of loving. Most people approach love as a marketplace transaction. They ask themselves, am I lovable? How can I make myself more attractive? How can I be more successful, more beautiful, more witty? They treat themselves as a product to be packaged and sold, hoping that someone will buy them. This is a deeply passive approach. You are waiting to be chosen, waiting to be validated, waiting for someone else to give you love. But Fromm argues that the primary question should not be, can I be loved, but can I love? Do I have the capacity to love? If you cannot love, no amount of external validation will ever fill the void inside you. The second error is believing that the problem of love is the problem of an object, rather than the problem of a faculty. People think that to love is easy, but to find the right object to love, or to be loved by, is difficult. This is the mindset of the romantic movie, where 2 people are perfect for each other, but they just haven't met yet. Fromm argues that this is a fundamental misunderstanding. Love is not about the object, it is about the faculty. If you truly possess the capacity to love, you can love anyone. If you do not possess that capacity, no object in the world will save you. The person who claims, "I just haven't found the right person yet," is usually someone who has never learned how to love in the first place. The third error is confusing the initial experience of falling in love with the permanent state of being in love. When two strangers suddenly let the wall between them break down, and feel close, feel one, that moment of sudden closeness is the most exhilarating experience in life. It feels miraculous. It feels like destiny. But Fromm warns that this experience of falling in love is, by its very nature, short-lived. It is a biological trick, a temporary dissolution of the ego. The miracle of intimacy between two people who have been strangers is just that, a miracle of the moment. Once the miracle wears off, once the dopamine fades, the real work begins. And this is where most relationships collapse. People think that because the initial feeling has faded, they must have fallen out of love, and they must find a new person to fall in love with. They become serial monogamists, chasing the high of the first encounter, never realizing that real love is not a feeling you fall into, it is a standing, a decision, a continuous act of will. So if love is an art, what are its essential components? Fromm argues that regardless of the object of love, whether it is romantic, parental, fraternal, or self-love, there are four basic elements that are common to all forms of genuine love. These are care, responsibility, respect, and knowledge. The first element is care. Fromm writes, "Love is the active concern for the life and the growth of that which we love." This is the most fundamental definition of love. If you claim to love something, but you are not actively concerned for its life and growth, you do not love it. Fromm uses the beautiful example of a woman who claims to love flowers but consistently forgets to water them. We would not say she loves flowers. We would say she is interested in flowers, or she likes the idea of flowers, but she does not love them. Love is a verb. It is active. It is the labor you put into the thing you cherish. If you love your partner, you are actively concerned for their growth, their well-being, their flourishing. If you love your work, you are actively concerned for its quality and development. Where there is no active concern, there is no love. The second element is responsibility. In our modern culture, responsibility is often seen as a burden, a duty imposed from the outside. But Fromm uses the word in its true, etymological sense. Responsibility means responsibility. It is the ability and the willingness to respond. When your partner is suffering, when your child is crying, when your friend is in need, a loving person does not turn away. They respond. They make themselves available. They say, "I am here. I hear you. I will respond to your need." This is not a burden, it is a voluntary act. It is the conscious choice to be present for another human being. Responsibility without respect, however, can become domination. This brings us to the third element. The third element is respect. Fromm is very careful to distinguish respect from fear. The word respect comes from the Latin respicere, which means to look at. To respect someone is to look at them as they truly are, to see them for who they are, not for who you want them to be. Respect means that you accept the other person's unique individuality. You do not try to mold them into your image. You do not use them for your own purposes. You want them to grow and unfold for their own sake, in their own way. This is only possible if you have achieved your own independence. Fromm writes, respect means the concern that the other person should grow and unfold as he is. Without respect, love becomes a form of possession. You do not love the other person, you love what they do for you. You love how they make you feel. You love the way they reflect your own ego back to you. But that is not love. That is use. The fourth element is knowledge. You cannot respect someone you do not know. You cannot respond to someone whose inner world is a mystery to you. Love requires that you penetrate the surface of the other person and understand their deepest reality. This is not intellectual knowledge. It is empathetic knowledge. It is the ability to see the world through their eyes, to feel their pain as if it were your own, to understand their fears even when they cannot articulate them. This requires overcoming your own narcissism. Most of us experience the world only through the lens of our own needs. We see people as useful or useless, helpful or hindering, attractive or unattractive. We do not see them as they truly are. Love demands that we step outside of ourselves and truly know the other. These four elements, care, responsibility, respect, and knowledge, are the foundation of all genuine love. But Fromm goes further. He argues that before you can truly love anyone else, you must learn the most difficult form of love of all, the love of self. This is where Fromm delivers one of the most counterintuitive, mind-blowing insights in the entire book. Modern culture tells us that loving yourself is selfish. It tells us that if you love yourself, you cannot love others. It tells us that self-sacrifice is the highest form of virtue, and that self-love is a sin. Fromm argues that this is a complete inversion of the truth. He writes, love of self and love of others, far from being alternatives, are actually mutually dependent. Think about it logically. If love is an attitude, an orientation of character, then a person who truly possesses the capacity to love will direct that love toward everyone, including themselves. A person who can only love others but not themselves does not actually have the capacity to love. They are not loving others. They are using others to escape themselves. They are clinging to others because they cannot stand their own company. This is not love, this is symbiotic attachment. It is a form of emotional parasitism. Fromm makes a crucial distinction between selfishness and self-love. The selfish person does not love himself too much, he loves himself too little. He is empty. He is desperate. He is trying to compensate for a profound inner lack by taking from the world. He is like a person with a hole in their bucket, trying to fill it by stealing water from everyone else's bucket. No matter how much they take, the bucket never fills. True self-love, on the other hand, is the fullness of the bucket. It is the ability to affirm your own life, your own happiness, your own growth. And only a person who has this fullness can genuinely give to others. You cannot give what you do not have. If you are empty, you have nothing to offer. This leads to Fromm's most profound insight about the nature of human existence. The deepest need of every human being is to overcome separateness. Fromm argues that the human condition is defined by a fundamental paradox. We are separated from nature, from each other, and from ourselves. We are aware of our own aloneness, our own mortality, our own insignificance in the vast universe. This awareness of separateness is the source of all shame, all guilt, all anxiety. To be fully separated is to experience the terror of isolation. Therefore, the deepest human need is to achieve union. To bridge the gap. To feel at one with another person, with humanity, with the universe. Love is the answer to this existential problem. Love is the only sane and satisfactory answer to the human condition. But Fromm warns that there are many false ways to achieve union. There is the union of submission, where you give yourself up to another person or to an ideology to escape yourself. There is the union of domination, where you absorb another person into yourself to escape your own aloneness. There is the union of conformity, where you become identical to everyone else, losing your individuality to blend into the herd. And there is the union of creative activity, where you unite with the world through your work, your art, your labor. But all of these are incomplete. Only one form of union is complete, and that is interpersonal love. And Fromm defines this love in a very specific way. Love is union with somebody, or something, outside oneself, under the condition of retaining the sense of one's own integrity and individuality. This is the ultimate paradox of love. In love, two beings become one, and yet remain two. You do not lose yourself in the other person. You do not surrender your individuality. You stand on your own feet. You are whole on your own. And from that place of wholeness, you choose to connect with another whole person. This is why Fromm insists that the capacity to stand alone is the prerequisite for love. If you cannot be alone, if you are terrified of your own company, if you need someone else to complete you, you are not ready for love. You are ready for dependency. You are ready for a crutch. But not for love. This brings us to Fromm's devastating critique of modern society. He argues that the modern capitalist, consumerist world is fundamentally hostile to love. Why? Because modern society is built on the principle of the market. Everything is a commodity. Everything is for sale. Everything is an exchange. And in a market society, people themselves become commodities. We package ourselves, we advertise ourselves, we sell ourselves. We look for partners the way we look for a used car or a house. We weigh the assets and the liabilities. We ask, what can I get in exchange for what I'm offering? This market orientation destroys love because love is not an exchange. Love is not a transaction. Love is not about getting, it is about giving. Fromm argues that the most important distinction in love is between the having mode and the being mode. In the having mode, you try to possess everything, people, things, ideas. You are threatened by anyone who tries to take what you have. You are constantly defending, hoarding, accumulating. In the being mode, you do not need to possess anything. You are alive. You are present. You are giving. You share. You are. A person in the having mode cannot love, because love requires the surrender of possession. You cannot possess the person you love. You cannot own them. You must let them be free. And this terrifies the person in the having mode, because their entire sense of security is based on what they can hold on to. Fromm writes, the giving of oneself is the highest expression of power. In the very act of giving, I cannot help experiencing my strength, my wealth, my power. The paradox is that in giving, you receive. Not because the other person gives back to you, but because the act of giving itself awakens something in you. It brings something to life. And that which is brought to life, you give back to the other person. So how do you learn the art of loving? Fromm argues that like any art, it requires discipline, concentration, patience, and supreme concern. You must practice love as a way of life. You must become aware of your own feelings. You must learn to meditate, to be fully present in every moment. You must learn to listen, to others, to music, to nature, to yourself. You must learn to eat consciously, to walk consciously, to breathe consciously. Because if you are not awake to your own life, you cannot be awake to the life of another person. Fromm also warns that the practice of love requires faith. Not religious faith, but rational faith. Faith in yourself. Faith in the other person. Faith in the potential of the relationship. In a world that is fundamentally uncertain, love requires the courage to commit without guarantees. It requires the courage to give yourself completely, knowing that you might be hurt. It requires the courage to trust, even when there is no proof. The person who demands absolute proof before they love is not capable of love. They are only capable of calculation. And finally, Fromm argues that the practice of love requires patience. Nothing of value happens quickly. Love is not a lightning strike, it is a slow, steady cultivation. It is the daily, hourly, moment-by-moment choice to care, to respond, to respect, to know. It is the willingness to stay present when it is difficult, when it is boring, when it is painful. It is the understanding that love is not a destination, but a journey. It is not something you achieve once and then rest on. It is something you practice every single day for the rest of your life. As we conclude this deep exploration of the art of loving, it is vital to understand that Erich Fromm was not offering a feel-good self-help book. He was offering a profound philosophical challenge. He was asking you to look at your life, at your relationships, at the way you treat yourself and others, and to ask the most difficult question of all: do I actually know how to love? Most of us do not. We have been taught to consume, to possess, to exchange. We have been taught to treat people as objects. We have been taught to seek love passively, to wait for it to happen to us. But Fromm argues that love is the most active, the most demanding, the most difficult art of all. It requires that you become a whole person first. It requires that you stand on your own 2 feet. It requires that you develop the capacity to care, to respond, to respect, to know. The beauty of Fromm's philosophy is that it puts the power back in your hands. You do not need to wait for the right person. You do not need to wait for the stars to align. You do not need to wait for fate to bring you your soulmate. You can begin the practice of love right now, in this very moment. You can begin by being more present. You can begin by listening more deeply. You can begin by caring more actively. You can begin by respecting the individuality of the people around you. You can begin by learning to love yourself, not selfishly, but wholesomely. Love is not a feeling that happens to you. It is an art that you practice. It is a skill that you develop. It is a way of being in the world. And if you are willing to do the work, if you are willing to submit to the discipline, if you are willing to become a whole person, then you will discover something that the consumer society can never give you: the profound, unshakable, life-transforming experience of genuine human connection. Thank you for joining this journey into the philosophy of love. If this deep exploration resonates with you, if it challenges you to look at your relationships in a completely new way, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Remember, love is not something you fall into. It is something you stand in. Go forth, practice the art, develop the capacity, and become the kind of person who can truly love.